parenting is so wild because it's so meaningful, it's so fruitful, but it's so hard.
Yeah.
And and
it doesn't ever stop.
It doesn't stop.
And at the end of the day, the sooner you can let go of trying to get your kids to do or be or anything that you want, the much better off you are. We are just the conduit for these children.
Yes.
We think that we're there, we have control and we have some say in what they do, but we don't. We are literally the conduit for them getting here. We can do our best to guide them and to be there for them as we should, but like they are their own people and they're gonna go do their own shit and they're gonna make their own mistakes,
Yes.
I remember when my boyfriend's parents told me they read my book, I was like, really? Because there's like a whole part in it where I'm talking about like sex and I'm like, hello vagina, and I'm like, oh God. And I was like, and literally that's all I can think about when they told me they read the book. I was like, God.
Welcome to Cake for Dinner. This is not your everyday mom podcast. We laugh, we curse, we tell the truth, and we're here to ditch the perfection culture.
Today, I'm joined by Alli Webb, founder of Drybar and her new brand, Messy, a mom of two, a new Nashville resident, and my high school friend. You've seen her on Shark Tank, in Sephora, and now in a whole new chapter of her life. Alli Webb, welcome to Cake for Dinner.
Thank you. It's funny when people say, you see her on Shark Tank, people probably think I was like a contestant. Because whenever I tell somebody that I was on Shark Tank, they're like, oh, did you raise money? And I was like, no, I was a guest shark. I don't know why. That's such ego. Like, I'm like, but
you're like, no, I didn't invent anything.
I didn't. I just gave some money away. But thank you for that. I feel like the best part of that whole thing is that we were high school friends. Like we've known each other. And how many years is that?
Literally, we went to prom on the same bus.
We did?
Yes, and the pictures are horrible. I mean, you were doing well then. I was like looking like a guy in a dress. Like,
I don't believe that.
I'm going to send it to you.
What prom was that? Who did I go with?
So I think it was our junior year, which would have been your sophomore year. It was at
Matt
Adam Rogers' house.
Yes, you remember Matt? You remember Matt and Jay?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
So funny.
That's and Hillary. We went.
Who did Hillary go with?
I don't know. I'm gonna
Who
look
did
at the
you
picture.
go with?
I don't know. I just saw the picture. My mom was like showing me all these
you
old
have
pictures.
to send me this.
I'm gonna send it. You look cute. I was like
thinking
not
a white
peaking
dress.
in
I
high
think
school. That's for sure.
That is not true. Your hair was always curly and big in high school. I remember.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know how to blow it and all that stuff.
Yeah. Oh, how things have changed.
Oh, how things have changed.
Look at, we switched roles.
Yes, we did. So I'm so glad that we're doing this, and I'm actually glad it kind of took a while so that I could kind of find my voice and get Cake for Dinner off the ground. But I really feel like everything you're doing and kind of who you are really aligns with the podcast because I'm really trying to, I think, give women more permission just to theoretically let their hair down and be themselves.
Yeah.
And it's just like kind of naturally where you've fallen.
Yeah, that's very true. Well, I mean, I think that so much of what I've done in the last couple of years with writing my second book, The Messy Truth, which was like a real tell-all and like of, growing and scaling Drybar and everything that entailed and all the lessons, but then also like the kind of messy like undertone of like everything that was happening. And I think for me, it was like wanting to kind of expose that, like, I think it's like we've all lived in this, I know you talk about this a lot too, this like, perfect Instagram filtered world. And I mean, I think we've come a long way of like talking about the real things. And I just think that's at the end of the day what we all really want, is to talk about the real shit.
Yeah,
So.
I'm always, I don't know if surprised, but excited by how excited other people are to hear about the real shit.
Yeah.
Well,
I think because I think we especially like grew up in a world where it just wasn't talked about, It's just like very hush hush. And even there's still so many things like that, like it really bothers me that women don't talk about money.
Yes.
That really bothers me.
I just interviewed a divorce attorney and I mentioned on there because I had seen you say that somewhere. I don't even know where, but she agrees. And she deals with high power women who are successful in their own right, but still for whatever reason uncomfortable kind of talking about money and really like being in that world.
I mean, it's not like I want to I was asked a couple years ago to do a story from a story with Forbes about like self-made millionaires, and I was like, I don't really want to like put a press article about it. So I do have like some, like, I want to be a little private. That was more because just like more safety reasons than anything else.
Sure.
I'm just like, when I mean this, so like about my personal finances, I'm a little more guarded with that.
Sure.
But to talk about like how much you invested in a company, like how much you made, like all that stuff is like, men talk about it all the time, like very, very naturally and easily. And like women just seem so guarded around that.
Yeah.
Which I just find.
Well, I think it follows after all the things we're guarded about, how old we are, how much we weigh.
Right.
Like
men don't care about that.
They don't give a shit about either of those, And so I think there are trailblazers in this space of like, fuck it, we're just doing our thing, being ourselves. And it's so refreshing.
Yeah,
and
totally.
I really wanted to have you on because I think you just naturally lead with that. I mean, I don't know if you want me to say this on here, but I'm going to. But one thing I do remember vividly about college was you were the only one in a thong. And now if you go to the beach, I
was in a calendar in a thong. You remember that?
You were.
Nope, nobody's
I might tag that on this.
Oh,
but
I have the picture. I asked Sean Smith for that picture and he sent it to me.
But like literally now if you go to the beach, everybody's in one. But I literally remember so vividly thinking, God, why is she so confident about that? Like, and I had a great ass. I should have been in a thong
I know,
at
you
that
had a
time.
great body.
Like, but I wasn't
Hillary
comfortable.
wasn't wearing a thong?
Hillary would make it into a thong at the pool. Okay. There's a difference. You wore it. You walked there in it.
Oh my goodness.
And so there's a level of just, it's
That's
not
so
even
funny
just
you
so
remember
much
that.
because I think I remember because it impacted me because I wasn't comfortable doing that. And I don't think it was just about body image. I think you were just being you, and it makes sense with kind of like the road that you've taken, right?
I've always been a little ballsy.
Yes.
I've always been a little like irreverent and like want to like go the opposite way. I mean, even when I was in maybe it was after high school, I think I started like making my hair like bright red, and I just always wanted to go against the grain.
And that serves people well in entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
It just does. Yeah. I mean, it could go good or bad, but I think
I think it was just like a real need and desire to be different. And I still feel that way. Like I never want to be, I like being relatable, but I want to be different and unique always. Like I don't want to blend in. I never want to blend in. And maybe that's.
Yeah, and also I think like a deep craving to just like, especially in the world of social media and like all this like curated shit, just to be yourself.
Yeah. It's interesting too because I certainly like look around sometimes and get kind of FOMO or envious of like what other women are doing, and but I very quickly recognize it and be like, oh, I'm doing that thing again, and then I'm like, let me just close that down, shut off the noise, and just be like, yeah, just go do what feels really good to you, which is oftentimes like doing something that is not super typical, Right. And I mean, but even like I decided I had been thinking about moving to Nashville for a long time. I was waiting for a lot of things to like work out and line up quietly, and then they finally did. And so to most people, it's like, oh my God, she just picked up and moved to Nashville. I'm like, I didn't, but but I also like, I'm also very like, I go and do what I want to do when I want to do it. Yes. And I think I think that's
the thong.
Yeah, that's the thong.
That is the thong.
And I think that it's so fascinating to me as I've grown up and I've met more people. It's like, there's so much fear. People have so much fear around that. And I think I never had that fear. And clearly the thong example is a great one because I just never.
The fact that you don't really even remember it. You were just being yourself, Yeah. And
I was like, 17, 18 years old with a rockin' body. I was like, might as well.
We should have all been in a fucking thong.
We should have. But when you look back, you're like,
I never even
shit.
got to do it because I would have never dared for all of those years. And then nobody should be in a thong at 51. So it's just over. The window's closed.
I still have thongs. Like when my boyfriend and I go on vacation, I wear a thong.
I am so proud of you.
And I don't think I have like the greatest ass. I just don't care.
Yeah.
One time I accidentally ordered a thong bathing suit off like Amazon. I thought it was just a regular and it came a thong and I was like,
okay.
Guess this is what's in the cards for me today.
I don't even wear a thong in my sauna alone, but I might tonight.
I think you should. Do you wear thong underwear? Is that your first one?
Yes. But I think I'm gonna order one.
I
on Amazon.
This episode is called Thong. The thong, thong, thong.
Oh my God. All right. So that we cover something on my cue cards that my son made for me this morning.
He did?
Yes, he's 12. They're a little crooked, but so I do want to get a little bit to the founder story because to so many people it's amazing, and it really is something to be proud of.
Thank you. I am proud of it.
So having built Drybar before the social media era, what do you think truly made the brand work, and what still matters today as you roll into your new brand?
Mm-hmm. Well, ironically, Instagram and Drybar started, I think, in the same year.
Right.
It was, I think Instagram started in 2010. I might have that wrong, but I know it was in the same kind of area. And Twitter was already happening.
Okay.
Which is just interesting that you asked because it was a very different time. And, it was more traditional press. And like, you probably remember Daily Candy.
Yep.
So Daily Candy, which for people listening probably never heard of Daily Candy, it was like kind of like a cool newsletter that you would subscribe to. And every day they would send you like the new cool restaurant or store or boutique. And it was like a really, really big deal to get in that. And I remember we did. And it was like a pithy, like, hot airs blowing into LA or something cute like that. And that like put us on the map because when that thing ran, we started getting alerts on our BlackBerries.
Oh my gosh.
Really dating myself, right? Like, I feel like my kids don't even know what BlackBerries are,
They definitely don't.
They definitely don't. But BlackBerries are awesome.
Yeah.
But anyways, and so we were more reliant on traditional press. I would go on like local news stations and talk about it. Podcasts were a thing back then too. But it really was a different era, and because Twitter was really popular back then, and you could put a picture on Twitter,
right?
It was rarely done, but women were doing it. And it was so interesting because we purposely made the bathrooms in Drybar really cute so that you would take a selfie in them. So we were a little ahead of our time in that regard because we kind of just knew that people would do that because they have this great hair and they want to share it. And Twitter was really the only place to do that. I guess Facebook. I've just never really been on Facebook, so I don't know what happens over there. But Twitter was people were tweeting a lot, but then they would put pictures up too. But it wasn't like what it is now. By any stretch.
Like when you look back, are you like, holy shit, we got so many little important things right? Like even the yellow, the smell when you went in. I mean, if you go to places that do Drybar drying now, I've been to many of them.
Yeah.
Never the same.
Yeah.
So like, do you look back, was all that super curated and
very intentional, very, very intentional. And it's funny because when we opened the first location and the first couple of locations, and we started having copycats, like what you've probably been into. And I was very nervous about it, obviously. And I was like, I would like drive by and like in my glasses and try to see what they were doing. And my nervousness very quickly went away because what I realized is that, and this happened again and again, the copycats just did not know what they were doing to like we did. I mean, you have to also think about it like, talk about capturing magic in a bottle. It was like I was a longtime hairstylist, so I really understood hair. Michael and I's, my brother's my business partner, our parents were entrepreneurs. So we had that like entrepreneurial spirit and like we knew kind of how to run a business. We brought in this amazing architect, Cam, Josh Heitler. Cam, my ex-husband, was an amazing creative. And we didn't, and none of us were paid. So we were all basically working for free for equity, right? Like that's just kind of what happens a lot when you're a founder. You often don't pay yourself for a long time. And so what was happening with the copycats is like they were looking at it understandably opportunistic, like, oh, we can paint a space, put in some, salon chairs, hire some stylists, boom. And it just wasn't that easy. There were so many thousands of intentional thoughts. Like even today when I was speaking earlier, I was talking about, I'm like, no, most people don't know this or think about this, but like the tufted walls in Drybar were very intentional to absorb sound. They look really pretty too,
right?
But they were not there to look pretty. They were there to absorb sound because Josh, our architect, knew that we're basically blowing in heat and that sound of a blow dryer, plus the sound of music, plus the sound of women talking over a blow dryer, that it would just be like, you know? And so he was like, we have to do something to absorb the sound. So there was tufted walls all over the place.
Wow.
You know, it's just one example. I mean, there's so many little things like that. And, you know, when you have like, you know, people who are, you know, that dedicated from the jump, that are, you know, thinking about every detail. For me, I was thinking about the customer experience, the blowouts, the stylist, like all the you know, I had my things. Cam was thinking about, you know, the brand, how the brand was perceived before you even walked in the door. You know, Josh was thinking about the flow and the architecture, and we were all working closely together, but we all really had our own lane, you know. But yeah, I mean, the collective expertise. I think it was my brother's idea to put the iPhone chargers in the stations, because back then iPhones died really, really fast. You remember that?
Yes.
So we, you know, and then I had been in a nail salon in like San Francisco once, and there was Sex and the City playing on the TV while I was getting a manicure, and I was like, this is amazing, and it just stuck and went, and that was years and years ago. And when we were concepting Drybar, I was like, we should put like girly chick flicks on the TV, so you're sitting there and also not standing in front of a mirror. I mean, it's just like, I could go on and on.
The not in front of a mirror thing is interesting.
Yeah, because I was doing my mobile blowout business, which is what ultimately led me to Drybar, at women's homes. And so I was doing their hair in like their living room or their kitchen, so never in front of a mirror. And what I figured out during that time was that they, first of all, they weren't micromanaging me, because they weren't looking at their hair.
That's
and
what
I
thought it was.
Yeah, and they just didn't get to see it until I was done. And so, but when I was done, I was like, okay, now go look at it. And they'd find a random mirror, either in their kitchen or their bathroom or wherever, and I'd hear this big like squeal of delight, because all they saw was their hair wet, which isn't great, and then their hair dry and beautiful, and they're like, holy shit, and there literally would be squeals of excitement. So I explained that process to Josh, our architect, and said, how do we recreate that in the shop? And so that's why we made it like a literal bar, had, you know, the salon chairs. There's mirrors behind the bar that you can get glimpses of yourself, but you're basically watching a movie while you're getting your hair blown out, and then the mirrors are behind, so they spin you around for the big reveal, which is what I had captured in my mobile list. So, you know, it's just like I could go through and walk through a Drybar with you and tell you like millions of things of why they were done that way.
It's so obvious if you start even going through 5 of them, like why it was successful, right?
Yeah.
And
that's the thing I always tell other, you know, entrepreneurs. I was like, you got to pay attention to the littlest details, and every single detail. You can't miss any of them, because and you know it, like, you know, as a discerning person, and I know a lot of women who feel this way. It's like you walk into a place and you're like, God, this could be so much better.
Right.
First of all, people could be nicer. The music could be better. The temperature, the cleanliness, like there are thing after thing after thing after thing that people just miss, and they just don't give a shit, you know. And I'm like, well, why should we give you our money? You know,
we're also like in a faster world, and just this whole like TikTok and all this shit. Like I have teenagers who think they're going to be overnight sensations at whatever they're doing, right? So it's like it's so getting bizarre down to the root of it. And like I founded a company too. I mean, it took years before we even took a paycheck, and you know, just grit and hustle. And we're sort of in this space now, especially with the younger generation. They just think they're going to have an idea.
Yeah.
And boom.
Yeah.
You know,
well, it's interesting because my kids are 18 and 21, and my son is like, he's such a hustler and grinder, and he doesn't have that mentality, but I think he just barely missed it, you know?
Yeah. Yes.
And he's like, I can't believe how hard this kid works. He gets up at like 5 a.m. and he's like, he just grinds. And you know, my younger son, who's more like the creative, like head in the clouds.
Yeah.
He's also like gotten very responsible recently. I'm like, maybe I did an okay job, you know? Yeah, it's really interesting.
Yeah. Well, some of that stuff, like you say, you got from your parents.
Yeah.
I'm sure they weren't like trying to necessarily impose that on you.
My son just left me, and he was visiting me a couple weeks ago, and he left me a note, and he was like, he leaves me a note in this like shared journal thing that we have, and he's like, I know you're gonna read it, and I'm like, you only leave it for me. But anyways, he wrote in it like, I want to be like you. You know? It's like,
what else is there?
I mean, what else is there? It's like, okay, you know, it was just so,
especially through all the journeys in life and all the ups and the downs,
journeys,
and also just parenting. Like sometimes you wonder, like, am I even doing a good job?
Yeah. Well, and you know, I mean, obviously, you and I have talked about this a lot. It's like what Grant went through, having gone through rehab and things and everything that he went through. As hard as that was, and as embarrassed as I was at the time, because I thought it was just so negatively reflective of me as a parent, I felt very like I was forced to like rethink how I was parenting, and my parenting philosophy changed a lot, because I was that parent for so many years, and my kids would tell you this, that I was like, I'm older, I know better, I've been around longer, I have more experience, which feels very true and right. Sure. And then when everything happened with Grant, and I was like, I'm clearly doing something wrong here. And I really sought out so much help to like to learn how to reparent, and I remember my kid sitting me down once and saying, we're scared of you. We don't know what version of you we're going to get, which was like, oh, yeah, because they were like, sometimes you're awesome. And then sometimes they would say your eyes turn red, I was like, fuck, and I was like, I don't want to be that. I don't want to create that emotional volatility in you, right? Because you are like, what are we getting today? And like not knowing, like that's the worst feeling for a human to have to experience from somebody they love and trust, So I really worked really hard to change that, and my kids would tell you, like they're like, you changed, you're totally different now, like you never lose your shit anymore.
It's almost like, I was going to say, it's almost like, my son also went to treatment. I've been pretty open about that too. Yeah. As hard as it was, and like probably my toughest season,
100%.
The stuff that I learned about myself, almost begrudgingly, like, totally. I mean, being told by your son, like my son said, there wasn't room for me to have a problem or to like struggle, because you seem to be overwhelmed with Olivia. So I was overwhelmed with his sister, and he wasn't wrong. Yeah. But being willing to take that in, owning it, and then making the choice to work on that and move forward.
Same.
So fucking painful.
So hard.
But honestly, in retrospect, I'm like, shit, like this may have been the best thing to happen to any of us.
I mean, I feel like that too. I mean, when I wrote my book, The Messy Truth, I have a whole chapter in there about Grant. You read it.
Actually, I listened to your voice in the car, which was really
cracky.
One of the things that got me to write my book. Just that you were so open about it.
Yeah.
And
that chapter was rewritten several times. You know why? Because I let Grant read it, of course, and he was like, you sound too victim-y, Mom. Okay, back to the drawing board. I mean, I had to rewrite that chapter several times. And of course, I was not going to like put it out there without his blessing, Right. But the first couple times I wrote it, he's like, I kept going back, and I was like, fuck, I'm still getting the learnings here. I'm still getting the lessons. Like, you never stop getting the lessons. Never stop.
So, like I was telling you this morning, I'm like, I'm trying to get off that fucking bus. I don't want to learn anything else right now. I want to just be in the season of me.
I know.
And the reality is, once you're a parent, you're always a parent.
Or just once you're a human and you're just like always learning. Nobody gets to
Which
escape.
is great. You should want to be, but sometimes it's tiring. I actually write in my book that like during that process with my son, I went to my dad and I was just like sobbing. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, I thought my kids turning 18, like somehow I'd be like
all done
in my mind, even with twins, like even when they were like at hard stages, I would like fantasize about them being in an age where like maybe they were going to be like, thank you, and I was like sobbing to my dad, telling him this. And he said, like, I hate to point this out, but you're 51 with a full blown life and you're crying to me right now.
Right.
And I was just like,
oh no.
Oh my God, like this is the worst. But he was right.
Yeah.
And he was like, and the craziest part is like, this will be, even though you're having a hard time, this is my job and I love it. And I don't want to be anywhere else than with you right now.
Of course.
And it's just like, parenting is so wild because it's so meaningful. It's so fruitful, but it's so hard.
Yeah.
And and
it doesn't ever stop.
It doesn't stop.
I mean, it's so true. I mean, I think I felt that way too when my kids like were older, but like, I don't live near my kids anymore, which is also an interesting thing in and of itself, but and I call and we FaceTime and we talk a lot and connect a lot. And I'm like, oh, I don't get to stop thinking about them. I have moments, where I'm
Sure.
like, I'm living my own life. I'm living in a new city. I'm really happy. I'm ridiculously happy. And then I'm like, wait, where are my kids? What's happening to my kids? Where are my kids? It's okay. Where I get these like almost like panic, like pangs of like, are my kids okay? I'll like check their location randomly. They check my location too, which is funny. And just make it like, if I wake up in the middle of the night, I'll check their location just to make sure they're safe where they're supposed to be. It's just like, it's so ingrained in us, and I don't think, it ever ends. Yeah. For better or worse. I mean, it's like, it's like one of my friends always says, it's like a polishing stone. We have so many polishing stones. You just have to keep learning and going through it.
Yeah. And that's like what I really loved about your book. I love the whole book, but that chapter I think just giving women the permission, just like we're all out here doing our best,
So
even
true.
when I signed my book contract, it was the day that my middle schooler got kicked out of school. And I'm like, like
you're like, this doesn't feel off.
I have a 1 kid in treatment.
Was that why you're homeschooling him?
Yes.
Oh, how funny. I didn't realize. I wondered why you were homeschooling.
Yeah. Well, that's how
No
it
wonder why
started.
you want to get off the train.
Yeah.
I don't know how anybody respect, mad respect.
Well, I will
could
say I
never
have as a tutor. It's not like I'm actually doing that much. He also does model. So like we travel and he does stuff. And then when I travel for my podcast, he comes with me. It's turned out to be
here?
No, today he's there because I just drove.
Yeah.
But it's turned out to be pretty fun.
I bet.
And my husband's very involved. So it's turned out to be pretty fun. But I have to say the day that happened, I just sat there in my car thinking like, I have 1 kid in treatment. I have 1 kid that just got kicked out of middle school. And guess what? This book is falling under the parenting category. And I was just like, you're like, you can't make this up.
Yeah, you really
And
can.
so like for like 2 months, I didn't write a thing. I had like imposter syndrome, who am I?
Yeah.
So I ended up writing the prologue about that. Because I think that's the thing. Like everybody's doing their best.
But that will endear you to everybody because it's like, it's like you're not, it's like you're not writing it like, hey, here's what I did and you should do this. And
it's more like, I don't know if you should.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know. We're all just fucking figuring it out,
right.
And I think that those, similar to like, Grant going to treatment, like I think like you said, we're better for it. All of those things are like, we don't know why they happen, but they happen for a reason, to like teach us something.
And to teach them something.
Right.
Like the lessons, it's also so hard to watch your kids learn lessons.
Ugh, the
like,
worst.
It's like weird because I didn't grow up with money. I didn't grow up with parents providing me with anything other than like love, which certainly is great. But like all of my grit, all of my hustle, all of my stuff comes from that, So it's like you would think that we could sit back and be like, okay, all these lessons are going to be great. It's still not fun to watch.
It is still, and it's still so hard. I mean, I was even talking to my son recently about, he's in a new city, he's trying to find his way and he's, feeling a little bored, which brings back the like desire to, to do drugs again and whatever. And I was like, I think you need like to find some things that you like, some hobbies. And when he was in a therapeutic boarding school for a little while, and it was in Utah, and they would like the kids would go like snowboarding and it's not ice skating, that'd be cute, skateboarding and just all these like very outdoor activities. And I remember them explaining that to us as like we want them to feel like get that endorphin release and that high from doing things that are actually like really fun and adrenaline, provoking without it being like getting fucked up, and I kind of reminded Grant of that. I'm like, you got to just go find the things that are fun to you, and then like just do all those
and
like
that light you up
and because it's like you can get stuck in that like playing video games and sitting in front of the couch getting high, it's like. But if you go find these things that you like, and it was like a light bulb moment for him. He was like, oh, right,
Well, it's really good parenting, too, because I have parents all the time that call me as I'm a parent and a teen coach. And like they'll often hyper focus on things like, these girls are always dating guys the parents don't like. That's like low hanging fruit. And they're always like, how can we get rid of the guy, you know? But it's so much more about not focusing on that. It's more about building a life around them that they are fucking enjoying. So maybe they don't like the guy at the end. You know what I mean? But parents so often, and me included, I've certainly been guilty of this, of like focusing on the thing you want them not to do or the thing you want to remove.
Kiss of death.
Rather than like, why don't you build some shit up you like?
Well, and even like going back to Grant, he's probably going to kill me if he ever listens to this for like really letting it all hang out. But he was dating a girl that was really not great for him. I'll leave it at that. And really emotionally kind of tortured him. And, you know, we could see it and we didn't want him to be with her. But and one of the like kind of therapists that I worked with or coached back then, he was like, I remember like wanting, and he was really helpful to Grant, and Grant would talk to him a lot. And I remember telling him about the situation, and, you know, and he basically like completely reversed the whole thing and told, and like, was like very in favor of him dating her. And I was like, what the fuck? Why would you tell him that? And he's like,
you're fired.
Yeah, because he was like, the more you resist this girl, and the more you're like, no, we don't want you dating her, and you're putting up a fight all the time, the more he's going to go to her. To your point, the more you're like,
and thus he learns, because ultimately the experience, although painful for everybody involved, he now can draw from that.
Yeah,
you know
exactly.
What I mean?
But
just
I mean,
like
it's just such opposite. Like, I know it's like, isn't it like Freud or something? Like, who said that? Like, it's like, you know, it's like reverse psychology, right? It's like, if you're like, no, don't do this, don't do this, they are gonna fucking do that.
It's
like,
really your kid. I mean, it's the apple on the tree.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's like, I want to be different. I want to be, you know.
And then I have a chapter on that. It's called "Fuck Conformity," and it's like this wild idea that people like us, right, who never really conformed, and I'm not even attracted to conformity. I don't even enjoy it.
No.
But yet I want my kids somehow
so
to conform,
hypocritical,
right? Because it's I want things to be easier for myself if I'm honest.
Yeah.
And also I want their life to be easier. So it's like I'm standing there like, no, that's a bad one. That's a bad choice.
That's the do as I say, not as I do, which is also not good, you know? But I mean, at the end of the day, you know, the sooner you can let go of trying to get your kids to do or be or anything that you want, the much better off you are. I have to send this to you. There's a really beautiful like poem that my friend Paige sent me that was like, it's basically this whole thing about like, we are just the conduit for these children.
Yes.
We think that we're there, we have control and we have some say in what they do, but we don't. We are literally the conduit for them getting here. You know, we can do our best to guide them and to be there for them as we should, but like they are their own people, and they're going to go do their own shit, and they're going to make their own mistakes, you know?
Yes.
Anyways, we really got off on a parenting tangent.
This is a mom podcast. So moving right along, my audience is largely women, many of them moms. You built Drybar while raising a family. What do people most underestimate about doing both? Because I've interviewed a lot of founders, and the interesting thing about women, I was just talking to my friend about this, is like, we are doing whatever we're doing. We're building companies, we're doing whatever we're doing. And then alongside it, we're running as a mother.
Yeah.
So what do you think people underestimate about that?
Well, I don't think people underestimate how hard it is anymore. I think that there's like there's a real open dialogue now about it is really hard. I mean, I think that there's like there's this like I feel like everyone's I think it's like the cat's out of the bag of like, it's really hard and it's like you're gonna have days that you feel like you're doing it all. It's riddled with guilt, you know. I mean, and then you're gonna have days where you feel like I kind of nailed it today, you know. And so I think that like the big thing is like taking the pressure off us. You know, I think that's how. And normalizing it. And I think we are well on our way to normalizing. So I don't know if there's so much of a misconception or what did you ask? Underestimate, yeah. But I think that there's, I mean, obviously it's incredibly hard. And of course there's a double standard of like what men get asked of versus what women get asked of.
We contribute to that a little bit though by leading with this. Some people are caught in the perfection thing and, you know, sort of, I don't know, it's a chicken or the egg if women felt like they had to make it look like it was easy.
Right.
Or, I remember when I got divorced and I went on an interview and I wore my wedding ring because I was like, these people are hiring a sales rep. They don't want a single mom.
Yeah.
And that's just, you know what I mean? So it's like part of the way it is for us.
No, I mean, I think that I think women think, and maybe I'm naive about this, that women think they have to be a certain way, or, and I remember we were raising money for Drybar, and I was I remember asking my brother, I'm like, do you think I should wear a suit, or should I just dress like I dress? And he's like, no, you should dress like you dress. You should be you. But I think that there is along that same lines, this this oh, I'm supposed to be this other thing.
Yes.
Which again, I was like, I'm really glad he didn't say wear a suit, because I would have felt very uncomfortable. Not that I don't love a good suit, but just I was trying to make myself smaller because I thought I had to be this way for these people, and I remember him saying that to me, and it really being very empowering to me, So,
we wear a lot of hats.
And I wear a lot of hats, but I really like that, It's I don't
well, you like to bounce.
I do like to bounce. Yeah, I do like to bounce. And
me too.
And I don't, I have a great relationship. Sometimes it's harder than others with my kid's dad, and listen, my kids lived with me for a long time, now my younger son lives with his dad, and my older son is in Arizona, and he's doing his thing. But I think in general, that's a perfect way to put it. I like being real busy.
Yes.
I like jumping between thing to thing. I like the craziness of my life. I don't think men thrive in that the way women do,
Well, I mean, if we're speaking stereotypically too, I think women are better typically at managing many things at once.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think all men are that way, but right.
And I just like having okay, I gotta do this, I like the
and also if your worth is tied to one thing, that can get troublesome if the thing doesn't work out. So you turned your life story into a New York Times bestseller. Were there parts that were harder to tell than others, or anything you thought about leaving out and you're glad you didn't?
Well, it's funny. I was actually telling somebody this today. I sold my company in 2010. And, it's listen, when you sell your company, and you sell your soul a little bit, and, I won't publicly get into details of it for lots of reasons, but there were some things that I wish had gone down differently.
Sure.
And I did write about that in my book, and I was had a couple people read it before I sent it to my editor, just to keep me honest and make sure I didn't. And my lawyer, who's a really dear friend of ours, who actually is our franchise owner, in Drybar in Dallas, he's like, you can't print this, because I really it was very cathartic for me. I wrote how I really felt, which was I was a little I can't think of any other word but butthurt. What's another word for fucking butthurt? I was just miffed, I didn't like the way it all went down in some regards, and so I wrote about it, and for myself, and then I realized how negative it came across, and I was like, I'm not gonna put this in there, And it was really a moment too. I don't even really feel that way anymore. So I'm glad I didn't, because it was it was the moving on of a chapter. I was dealing with a lot of identity loss. A lot of shit had just happened with Grant and my mom dying, and I divorced. And so I was in a not a great place. And thank God I had somebody like that in my life that was this is a little too rough to put out there. Not because it's not authentic and real to where you are now, but when you think about a book that lives out there forever.
Right. That's the thing about writing.
It's the thing. And so I was you're right, because I think this is how I feel in the moment, because I really don't feel that way as much as I did. And I don't know why I was telling you that.
You're an express, you express.
Yeah.
So I would imagine that has to be like you'd have to like really manage that, especially in writing.
Yeah.
Saying, it's like it kind of comes and it goes. But that's the thing about writing. I mean, writing my own book, I'm thinking like, do I put this in? Do I not put this in? And then do you trust who's telling you it's a great idea?
Even I've got some really crazy parts in my book that, like, you know, I remember when my boyfriend's parents told me they read my book, I was like, really? You know, because there's like a whole part in it where I'm talking about like sex, and I'm like, hello, vagina, you know, and I'm like, oh my God. And I was like, and like literally that's all I can think about when they told me they read the book. I was like, God.
And the thing is you, when reading any book, and it's no different for that book, the things that stand out to you are probably where you are. So like that probably didn't stand out to us.
I
like
know.
The Grant chapter like really got me, right? Because of where I was. Yeah. So I'm pretty sure like hello vagina wasn't her takeaway.
Oh my God.
As an entrepreneur, do you ever want to just say fuck it, put your feet up and ride off into the sunset? Or do you love the grind? Because it's a grind.
I never want to ride off in the sunset. However, I will say that I do feel incredibly lucky that I have, like, I love the setup of my life. That I can, you know, and I don't have to sit in an office all day. Right. I just am not like a person who, I've never like sat in front of a computer. Like, I'm just not that there's anything wrong with that. I'm too like, I got to move around kind of person. You know, I take a lot of calls on the go, like either driving or walking, and so I feel really, really lucky and grateful that I get to do that, and you know, I do a lot of speaking, which I love because I get so much energy from a crowd, you know, and so I love that, you know, and that I get to like, you know, kind of decide. I mean, I feel really lucky. I get to kind of decide what I'm going to do, what I'm not going to do. That's a great
place to be.
It's an amazing place. Right? And I'm running this company, and there are days like even now, like I was trying to get on an earlier flight home. Like I always want to get home really quickly. And that's partially my dog and my life and the things that I have at home. But I love, and then so the travel is a little like mentally and physically taxing, which is like just a byproduct of it. But I really get to do what I love to do, and when I want to do it, and I have a lot of autonomy over like when calls get scheduled, and I make my own schedule.
Well, almost like there's different levels of grinding, and you've earned the level of grinding
I do feel like that
you're at, which is the best level of grinding.
And I work really hard. I just work harder and differently now, you know.
We're more intentional.
Right.
All right. So my last question is, messy feels so aligned with where women are today. What do you hope women really take away from it beyond their hair?
Well, I love that question because, you know, the whole idea behind messy in the really movement to, you know, maybe it's an overstatement, but is like, you know, my personal journey with my hair, you know, was kind of alongside my kind of spiritual and emotional journey that was happening, which was, you know, figuring out how to get myself back on my feet after a lot had happened and with my son and everything that was going on. And it was also during COVID, and I realized that I had like not been blow drying my hair, and like because I was just kind of living and surviving, and my hair got really healthy and it felt better and different, and I just started like, as a woman who had like spent her whole life like trying to figure out my how to get my curly hair straight, I started to embrace my natural wave. And then I was like, how do I make this work for me instead of trying to, you know, squeeze it into this perfect box? And, you know, and so I felt like I'm a hairstylist. I'm pretty good at hair. I know a lot more about hair than the average woman.
Right.
Why can't I figure this out, you know? And so I did start to really, you know, figure it out. And then as I did and started to embrace and really fall in love with my natural hair, which is such a trip to me, my whole life, you know, I mean, we grew up in Boca with frizzy hair, and I was like, and then I all of a sudden like fell in love with my hair and liked my hair so much more like this. Yeah. And when I get it blown out straight, I'm like, it doesn't even feel like me anymore, you know? And so I want to give women that permission of like, it's a, like here's a way to do it. I'm not like saying don't do anything. I'm such a beauty girl. Like I love all this stuff, and I want to give women like actual like tools and products, which Messy really is, to, help them get the hair they want with the hair they have. That's like our big tagline, right? And that like we're really worrying about like the hydration and health and the way your hair feels. Like that's the biggest thing to me is how does your hair feel, and so that, and then all of our products, as you know, have mantras on them. I love them. I am enough. I am unbreakable. I can begin again. All these great mantras that even if you just for a second read it, and you know so much about psychology and how the brain works, it's like if your brain just sees I am enough and that gets into your subconscious.
No better time than in the shower, like in the morning. Also, the products smell so good. So, I mean, don't let this bob fool you. I am so on board with just the message behind Messy. And I mean, it really is what I'm trying to spread. And I just feel like the timing is impeccable. It really is, I feel strongly, where women are today and where we're all trying to go.
And it's so funny because I get a lot of women who are like, oh, I'll take this on my vacation when I'm not blow drying my hair, which I'm like, okay, like let that be the entry, no problem, and then I inevitably always hear from them, holy shit, my hair looked so good on vacation because of your product. I'm like, and you can have that like on a Tuesday, and like there's nothing wrong about getting a blowout, but here's another alternative, and here's another like piece of empowerment for women to like, hey, I have naturally curly hair that I'm always fighting. My hair is breaking because I'm putting too much heat on it, which all of our products have heat styling, have heat protection in them too. So if you are blow drying or whatever, you still are protected. One of our new like things we're saying is like friends don't let friends heat style without protection.
I thought we don't be out there raw dogging your hair.
Right, exactly. But so all of that is to say, it's like just another like, hey, here's another alternative to make you feel really great about yourself. And
here's another opportunity for you to just be you.
Yes,
which is like I feel like the overarching
message. And like the best version of you, because again, it's like I'm not just saying like put the products in your hair and walk out the door. Like there's like twisting it, braiding it, like there's a whole rough drying it. There's like stuff to do with it. I'm not saying it's nothing, which I actually like the ritual of like still doing my hair. I just don't spend nearly as much time on it, and I don't put nearly as much heat on it, and it's just healthy as a result. So
well, I'm so glad we did this. I'm so glad you're doing what you're doing, and I'm so happy that you're happy.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Oh, and if people want to find you, if they live under a rock,
I'm just Alli at Alli Webb is my Instagram, just Alli Webb, and then Messy is it's Messy is our Instagram handle, and it's messy.com.
Awesome. Thanks for coming.
Yeah.